Hello everyone, this is historically accurate. Because I had some health issues and I also have a full-time job, I had to pause updates on this channel over the past year. But now my health has gradually improved, so I can resume updating this channel. Please stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome to Historically Accurate. If you were an ordinary civilian in the Three Kingdoms period, and no one in your family had power, then congratulations, your life would be probably worth less than a cow. If you were a child, it was very likely that you would die of disease and hunger before you grow up. If you were a female and made it to become an adult, the best thing you could do was to marry a farmer, have kids, do housework and farm. If you ask where the male family members went, the odds were that they were already dead. It was possible that they died in battle after being forced to join the army, or were killed by bandits or warlords looting their villages when trying to protect their female family members. It was also possible that they became bandits themselves and were killed in battle with other bandits or government troops. In short, as a civilian in troubled times, you had a high chance of dying, and even if you survived, your life would be miserable. Then you heard that there was a ruler in a distant land who never sent his army to loot villages. His army would not rob the people of their food, even if the army were so hungry that they had to eat the bodies of dead soldiers. This ruler actively fought bandits and helped the people restore production in every place he went. The people fled with him, and he insisted on leading his weak army to march after the people in order to protect them, so much so that his entire army was wiped out and he was almost captured alive by the enemy. His ideal was to restore the Han Dynasty, and your ideal was to return to the past when there were no warlords and everything was in order. You felt that his ideal was your ideal, and you had a very good impression of this ruler. Before long, you learned the name of this ruler, Liu Bei. Then, after a long time, you heard that his army was annihilated by a young man named Lu Xun in a battle, and you felt very sad. You firmly believed that if he dies, there would never be another ruler who truly cared about the people as he did. In your heart, you hoped very much that he could persevere for the poor people. So, what happened to Liu Bei after the Battle of Yiling? After Liu Bei was defeated at Yiling, he managed to break out of the siege with only a couple of followers and guards. If we look at the map, we can see that from the time Liu Bei was besieged in Ma'an Mountain, the main road back to Yi province was basically blocked by Lu Xun. Then Liu Bei and his men could only take mountain roads to escape back. In the unpopulated mountains, a man over 60 years old led some defeated soldiers to walk hundreds of kilometers. Even modern people can hardly do it. Not to mention that Lu Xun's army was still chasing after them. When Guan Yu was defeated and chased after by Eastern Wu, he ended up not being able to escape and was captured alive by Eastern Wu. Seeing that they were about to be overtaken by the Wu army, Liu Bei ordered everyone to take off their armor and weapons, pile them on a narrow path and burn them to block the enemy. He then led everyone to speed up and stampede towards Zigui. This move was quite bold and dangerous. It was very counterintuitive to ask a person being hunted to abandon the armor that protects him and the weapons that kill the enemy. But discarding the armor and weapons and burning them not only hindered the enemy for a while, but also speeded up everyone's escape. It was with this keen intuition that Liu Bei and his men successfully fled to Zigui. Escaping to Zigui didn't mean that Liu Bei and his men were safe, since Lu Xun's army would soon besiege Zigui. There was no way that the remnants of Liu Bei's army and the small garrison of Zigui could defend the city. The only option was to continue retreating westwards to White Emperor City. There were two ways to get there, by water and by land. It was very difficult to travel by land because the roads were carved into very rugged mountains. They were narrow and high and making it quite easy to fall off cliffs. Although traveling by water was sailing against the current, the speed was much faster than that of traveling by land. But Liu Bei immediately made a judgment that they could only travel by land, not by water. Sailing against the current required strong rowing paddlers, but Liu Bei had no well-trained paddlers at all. Even if he did, he didn't have decent vessels that would allow them to retreat quickly by water. While Lu Xun had many large vessels and paddlers, they would travel very fast and could easily catch up with Liu Bei's boats. Although traveling by land was difficult for Liu Bei and his men, it was also difficult for the enemy chasing after them. The speed would be similar for everyone. Therefore, traveling by land was much safer. Eventually, Liu Bei led most of his men to travel by land, while Cheng Ji led a smaller group of people to travel by water. Before long, Cheng Ji's vessels were overtaken by Wu army, and he died in the fight. Sun Huan led Wu navy to continue sailing westward fast and arrived at Shimen Mountain before Liu Bei, and set up an ambush there. When Liu Bei entered the ambush circle, Sun Huan led his army to launch a surprise attack and almost captured Liu Bei alive. At that time, only one general, Fu Rong, was besides Liu Bei. He risked his life to protect Liu Bei, helped Liu Bei break out of the siege and stay behind to resist Sun Huan. Liu Bei retreated along the mountain path, while Fu Rong, after being defeated by Sun Huan, refused to surrender and fell heroically in combat. In July 222 AD, Liu Bei finally escaped back to White Emperor City alone. At this point, the Battle of Yiling ended with Liu Bei's crushing defeat. In this battle, Liu Bei lost tens of thousands of elite troops, ships, weapons, armor, and many potential strategists and military generals. Liu Bei's territory consisted of only one province. Such losses, in addition to the losses suffered by Guan Yu's earlier defeat, left Shu extremely weak, and it might take more than a decade to recover. In fact, the defeat in this battle didn't mean Liu Bei's military ability was low. His decisions and strategies all reflected the expected performance of an experienced commander-in-chief. It was just that his opponent Lu Xun was really better. Lu Xun saw through all Liu Bei's strategies and caught the flaws in Liu Bei's defense himself and won at one blow. To win this kind of protracted battles, the commanders of both sides would not only compete in logistics, but also compete in their abilities to defend and to detect the other side's flaws. It was obvious that Lu Xun had done all of them perfectly in this battle. If Lu Xun was replaced by a commander at the level of Xiahou Yuan, or if Fa Zheng and Huang Zhong were still alive, Liu Bei was likely to win a greater victory than that of Hanzhong campaign, and the history of the Three Kingdoms would have been completely rewritten. Unfortunately, there's no if in history. After this defeat, Liu Bei was facing a situation 10 times more dangerous than before the Battle of Yiling. But those of us who are familiar with this period of history all know that Shu didn't collapse immediately after Liu Bei's death, but continued for decades. So, what did Liu Bei do before he died to make up for his defeat in the Battle of Yiling? Liu Bei first asked Zhao Yun to lead an army from Jiangzhou to rush to White Emperor City. Hearing Zhao Yun's arrival, Sun Huan gave up the idea of attacking White Emperor City, and Liu Bei was finally able to secure his position. Liu Bei, who was temporarily safe, did not leave White Emperor City and return to Chengdu. Instead, he stayed in White Emperor City. He did this to make Sun Quan and Lu Xun feel that he had not given up on attacking Eastern Wu and was ready to assemble his troops for another attack anytime. The hinted message was, "I still have an army, so Lu Xun, don't even think about attacking Yi province." Such an arrangement did work. Lu Xun was worried that he couldn't conquer White Emperor City soon due to Liu Bei's geographical advantage. He was also concerned that Cao Pi might sneak attack eastern Wu at any time in the north, so he denied the plan to continue to attack Yi province. Shu was finally safe. However, Liu Bei's health deteriorated rapidly. From the breakout at Ma'an Mountain to the withdrawal to White Emperor City, Liu Bei, at the age of 62, walked hundreds of kilometers of rugged mountain roads with the enemy chasing after him, which was a great devastation to his body and spirit. If I saw those difficult mountain roads, I would rather choose to be caught by Lu Xun than escape. But Liu Bei couldn't do so. If he was caught, it would be very hard for his son, Liu Shan, to unite the various factions of Shu, and Shu might even fall apart. Now, Liu Bei had successfully escaped, but at the cost of deteriorating health. In March 223 AD, Liu Bei, who knew that his time was running out, summoned Zhuge Liang from Chengdu and entrusted Zhuge Liang and Li Yan with the task of assisting his son Liu Shan. Liu Bei said to Zhuge Liang, "You are 10 times as talented as Cao Pi. You will definitely be able to stabilize the kingdom and plan greater things. If my son is capable enough for you to assist, you can assist him. If not, you can replace him to become the emperor." Liu Bei also told his son Liu Shan to treat Zhuge Liang with the same respect as he treated his father. At the same time, Liu Bei warned Liu Shan not to do bad things because they were small, and to do good things no matter how small they were. In April 223 AD, after making all the arrangements, Liu Bei passed away at the age of 63. These arrangements allowed Shu, the weakest of the three kingdoms, to continue for another 41 years. Due to the absolute support and trust of Liu Shan, Zhuge Liang was able to turn the severely weakened Shu into a kingdom with strong political and military power in just a few years. 5 years after Liu Bei's death, Shu had already recovered its strength and was able to take initiative to attack Cao Wei and achieved notable successes. The Liu Bei biography series finally ends with this video. There are countless heroes in Chinese history. Compared with Liu Bei, their stories may be more exciting and their achievements may be 10 or 100 times greater. But I would like to introduce Liu Bei to you first because he is a very special figure in Chinese history. For most of Chinese history, the ruling class did not particularly care about the lives of ordinary people. Especially in times of war, people's lives may be less valuable than cattle and sheep in their eyes. Liu Bei, on the other hand, would rather eat the corpses of his own dead soldiers than rob the people of food when his troops were hungry. So much so that when Liu Bei was pursued by Cao Cao, the people were even willing to follow Liu Bei, and Liu Bei was unwilling to leave the people behind to flee first. The vast majority of emperors in Chinese history were afraid that after their death, the throne would be usurped by a powerful minister due to their successors being young and incompetent, as this had actually happened countless times. But for Liu Bei, this was not the case at all. He trustingly handed over his kingdom to Zhuge Liang, and while Zhuge Liang held the power of Shu, he didn't have the slightest rebellious heart, but only single-mindedly governed the kingdom and worked hard to fulfill Liu Bei's last wish. Liu Bei's starting point was very low. In an era like the Three Kingdoms period, when one's origins basically determined one's fate, it can be said that Liu Bei broke the shackles of fate and achieved great successes. Although he failed most of the time when he was young, his indomitable spirit has inspired countless later generations. Of course, Liu Bei was not a morally perfect person. He seized the territory of his kingman Liu Zhang and killed his adopted son Liu Feng to reduce the threat of usurpation for his own son Liu Shan. But as an idealist, for the vast majority of the time, he was kind to the people and honest and open-minded to his subordinates. Although in the ancient troubled times, an idealist might not be able to achieve too much, There's a Chinese saying that a hero is not judged by his success or failure, and Liu Bei can indeed be regarded as a hero worth learning in my heart. Well, that's it for today's episode. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. If you have any thoughts and suggestions, please leave your comments below. See you next time.